This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. Welcome to the September monthly partnership meeting of the Southeast and Caribbean Disaster Resilience Partnership, or SCDRP for short. My name is Heather McCarthy. I have the honor and pleasure of serving as the Executive Director of SCDRP. So, as much of our region faces Hurricane Helene today and tonight, we acknowledge with respect and gratefulness those unable to join us today as they tirelessly work to ensure the safety of our communities through this storm. And a special thank you to those of you able to join us this morning. As always, it's a pleasure to see you. Here's our agenda for today. First, some exciting updates on the SCDRP 9th Annual Meeting 2025 in Wilmington, North Carolina. Next, an important reminder that the nomination period for open seats on the SCDRP Advisory Board closes tonight at midnight. And today we wrap up our Partner Pick Summer Speaker Series with a double feature from Georgia Southern University, co-hosted with our friends over at CERN, the Coastal Empire Resilience Network. And lastly, we will wrap up today with partner sharing time. So please be ready to share your announcements from around our region. So, wow, am I getting excited for our next in-person convening in Wilmington, North Carolina. We have a whopping 29 people on our steering committee. So a big thanks to those of you that have stepped up to help us organize our annual flagship event. The subset of locals on the steering committee, the AKA Team Wilmington, met yesterday, and they are a fountain of amazing field trip ideas. A likely tour will explore the Living with Water projects designed to preserve and protect Battleship North Carolina and public access to it. There are a number of other ideas being explored as well, including a walking tour of recent engineering projects along Wilmington's downtown waterfront, touring resilience projects in the Topsail Surf City Morris Landing area, or Carolina Beach, or Burnt Mill Creek Watershed, or Bradley Creek Watershed. And all of these field trips sound amazing. And I get the feeling North Carolina has a lot to show us. So online registration is now open through Eventbrite, and we will close registration when we hit 125 attendees. So register early because the last 2 years have sold out. So keep checking the SCDRP 9th Annual Meeting website. You can scan the QR code here for continued updates. We would be honored to show good bless you, caller 01.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute.
That's okay. We would be honored to showcase your organization at our meeting. We are offering gold, silver, and bronze level sponsorships with these associated benefits. Gold sponsors will be able to set up tables and displays in the ballroom and introduce a session of their choice. Sponsorship funds are really important, and they're used to support 10 need-based registration scholarships for nonprofits, students, and community champions. Sponsorship funds are also bring us unique events like some of the field trips that I mentioned, special meetups, and keynote speakers that inspire and challenge us. So if you want to learn more, please reach out to me at heather@socorro.org. Become a sponsor today through our streamlined online portal. Scan the QR code that you see here. The SCDRP 9th Annual Meeting will be held at the Aloft Wilmington at Coastline Center Hotel. So plan to arrive on Monday, February 3rd for field trips and networking opportunities. Tuesday and Wednesday will be filled with presentations, panel discussions, Super Collider socials, and additional events planned by the steering committee. The SCDRP room block is $133 per night. The reservation link is available on the SCDRP 9th Annual Meeting website. Again, here's the QR code to scan to visit our website. Also, a post-meeting, invitation-only Duke Roundtables being planned for Wednesday night and Thursday morning. The topic this year will be Revisiting the Stafford Act. Data, climate change, and the Stafford Act in an era of data modernization. I'm super excited about that, and I hope to see you all in Wilmington. So today, Another reason it's a big day, it's the last day to nominate yourself or a colleague for the 7 open seats on the SCDRP Advisory Board. Nominations close tonight at midnight. Please scan this QR code for more info and to submit your nominations for professionals that will help drive the mission of SCDRP forward. And thank you for your thoughtful consideration on this important matter. The SCDRP Advisory Board provides the roots from which the enthusiasm and the growth of this organization really spring forth. So get your nominations in today. Next, we wrap up our SCDRP Partner Pick Summer Speaker Series today with our final set of dynamite speakers recommended by you, our partners. Today, we are co-hosting with CERN, the Coastal Empire Resilience Network out of Savannah, Georgia. Representing CERN, I would like to first introduce Anna Brodmerkel McQuarrie. Anna is a planner at the Chatham County Savannah Metropolitan Planning Commission and manages CERN. She has a Master of Urban Planning and Design from the University of Georgia. Before moving to Georgia, she taught marine science at the Catalina Island Marine Institute in Southern California. She also graduated with degrees in environmental studies and public policy from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Inspired by the natural world, Anna prioritizes equity, engagement, and the environment in planning. In this role, she hopes to foster an inclusive and creative network of local leaders to further resilience in the coastal empire. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Anna Brodmerkel McQuarrie. Anna.
Hi, thank you, Heather, for that introduction. I appreciate it, and thank you for co-hosting with us today. And so I just wanted to introduce CERN to you all if you're not familiar. So if you don't mind, next slide. Perfect. So the Coastal Empire Resilience Network, or CERN, was created to be a coast-wide network for community collaboration promoting resiliency, and is hosted by the Savannah Chatham County Metropolitan Planning Commission, or MPC. And so it's a forum to share information, data, and experiences to promote community resilience and develop a common framework for planning for resilience. So we offer similar type webinars. We call them Resilience Coffee Hours. We just wrapped up our summer series. And so you can actually access all of these on our website. We featured the Savannah Tree Foundation and had conversations about environmental justice with Demo Lab South. We had the Georgia Ports Authority talk about their sustainability initiatives, and we just talked with ACES World about climate communication and advocacy strategies. And so we do have a newsletter. On this slide, you'll see Resilient Ralph. He is our newsletter mascot. The gopher tortoise is the state reptile of Georgia, but also very resilient and a keystone species here in coastal Georgia. So I would encourage you to sign up for our newsletter if you're curious about what is going on in coastal Georgia. And you can also follow us on Instagram. And so I wanted to share an exciting new course we have coming up. So next slide, please. It's called Planning with Nature-Based Solutions in Coastal Georgia. We just closed registration yesterday, but it's going to be a month-long course focused on planning with NBS, so thinking about land use, zoning, and different strategies. We're working with Brittany Dodge at the Sapelo Island National Estuarine Research Reserve, and we have participants all across the country, but also those in Georgia as well, representing 4 different coastal counties. We actually have 2 people auditing the course, so if you're interested in offering something similar to this, I encourage you to reach out to myself or Brittany. Her email is down below as well. And you can audit the course. So this is offered in Google Classroom with a weekly Zoom. So if you wanted to see what materials we're offering and how we're going about this, then we'd welcome you to audit the course. And if you're interested in taking the course, hopefully we'll have future iterations of it. And this isn't just a one-time thing. All right. If you'd like to join a weekly Zoom with us, say you use nature-based solutions in your work, then we'd encourage you to reach out to us and talk to our class participants about how you use them. We try to fit you into the week that maybe matches your field of work the most, but we really want to encourage this networking and connections and attaching people to the right people and resources to help further their work in their local communities. All right, and next slide, please. And last opportunity I wanted to discuss with those of you in Georgia, the Coastal Incentive Grant Cycle 28 is now available. So CERN was actually funded by a coastal incentive grant, I think back in 2019 or 2020 before I worked at the MPC. And so it's a great opportunity for these local projects. It's offered by the Coastal Resources Division of Georgia DNR. And I believe they have some workshops in October, and also the pre-application is due in December, so keep an eye out for those. But I think it's a great opportunity. I've enjoyed working with CRD with the CERN grants that wrapped up last year. And if you're interested in working with CERN on a grant, please contact me. Feel free to reach out if you have ideas, or you can think of a way that the network could help benefit your community, or we could work together, because that's how we move resilience forward, is together. So lastly, before I get to introducing our speakers, I did want to say I am from near Wilmington, North Carolina, a small town called Burgaw, B-U-R-G-A-W. It actually translates to mud hole. So we get a lot of rain there, but Topsail is my favorite beach. So if you get a chance, I highly recommend, going up to Pender County, checking it out. We are a small town, but home of the Blueberry Festival. So a lot of waits for you in the Wilmington area at that future partner meeting. And so, without further ado, I'd love to introduce our speakers today. And so we have Dr. Aslan, who's the director of the Institute for Water and Health. She is the founding director of the Institute for Water and Health and professor of environmental health sciences at Georgia Southern University. She has over 20 years of water research experience and leads multidisciplinary, multi-sectoral teams contributing to decision-making based on scientific data. During the early years of her career, Asli oversaw the first beach restoration project of the metropolitan city of Istanbul. Before joining Georgia Southern, she was a research assistant professor at Michigan State University. She served as the co-director of IC-SUIT, a global scientific work group affiliated with the International Water Association that developed protocols for tracking microbial pollution in global water resources. During her research in Michigan, she also led initiatives for training local health departments to adopt rapid water quality monitoring methods. Asla serves as an advisor, reviewer, scientific committee member, and affiliated faculty in various state and federal agencies and organizations. She's the co-founder of the Water and Health Committee of the American Public Health Association and recently served at the U.S. EPA Science Advisory Board's Augmented Committee for Drinking Water. Asla lives in Savannah with her husband, Mitzi, and son. All right. And then for Luke Roberson, he was born and raised in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Luke has over 15 years of experience in environmental science and has worked with a diverse group of federal and state agencies, nonprofits, and educational centers in his career. He specializes in community-based participatory research, working with volunteers, educators, and businesses in collecting and interpreting water quality data. He lives in Savannah, Georgia with his wife, Kim, and 2 kids. He has undergraduate degrees in graphic design and biology from the University of Kentucky and a master's of science in environmental science and policy from Johns Hopkins University, Maryland. He is a current DPH student at Georgia Southern University with a community health behavior and education concentration. And so I'm excited to hear from these two today. We actually met at the City of Savannah Earth Day Festival earlier this year, and we're talking, and I'm very intrigued by their work. Here at the Planning Commission, we constantly are asked, what's happening with our water resources as development occurs in the Savannah region, from industrial to residential. These are big questions, and so protecting our water resources and considering them in development makes us a more resilient community. So I will let them take the lead now.
Fantastic. Thank you, Anna. It's a pleasure co-hosting with you. And first we will transfer over to Asla, and let's see if you can share your screen.
Can you all see it?
Perfect.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here and be safe, okay? So thank you for this great introduction to Anna. Today I'm going to be talking about our relatively new Institute for Water and Health. And then after me, Luke will take on and talk about one of our projects that we're really proud of that we're almost about to complete. So who are we? We are almost 2 years old now. We are under the Georgia Southern University. This is a research and education center that is under the VPR, Vice President for Research. So we're not affiliated with a certain college, but mostly oversee all the research that's going on within Georgia Southern. And the reason for that is, as you know, Georgia is an amazing place to study water. And we have fantastic researchers, multidisciplinary researchers from pretty much every discipline that does water research. So we wanted to harness that strength and have it more institutionalized and work on certain issues in our region to address those issues through multidisciplinary approach. Our mission is to provide scientific and technological solutions to support a collective vision of safe water, sustainable environment, and resilient communities. So we're all researchers, but the research that we do does not really stay in the laboratories. We take that to the communities for the use of the communities. A lot of the time, the research questions actually come from the communities. So we kind of do this a little bit backwards. We work alongside other communities to address their issues. And I'm going to give some examples about that today. So here's who we are. We have 21 multidisciplinary faculty across the university. We're also now accepting affiliates from other universities as well. College of Coastal Georgia, Savannah State, and Georgia State already has shown interest on some of their faculty. These affiliate faculty work together, come every year together and identify some of the research priorities along with our communities and work together on those. We started as 2 people, Luke and I, but now we're growing. Our staff is right now 5 people. We have a project manager, a lab manager, a hydrologist, and we also have several graduate and undergraduate students. So far, we were able to support 10 students, and some of them are already working towards their dissertation. So in 2 years, we have been doing a lot. I'm really proud of our team, how much we have achieved. We also work with our community partners, and we call them safe water agents, and they are our citizen scientists that work in several of our projects. We are based in Savannah, and we have inherited the old Georgia Bureau of Investigations criminals labs. This is a 5-building complex. We're at building 4. In the last 2 years, that has been under renovation, and we did our grand opening last March. Many people came over during that ribbon cutting, and it's a 7,000 square foot laboratory facility that's specifically designed for water quality research. It's one of its kind at the coast, and we have several instrumentation that are new and high tech. We are also in progress of getting certification from the state for being able to also provide services through being a certified lab. Over the course of 2 years, we have increased our network significantly. We have multiple universities that we work with partners over there on grants and publications and research in general. We also share students and researchers. We work with local governments, of course, a lot. City of Savannah, a group of them today are with us, actually listening to us. We are great partners with them. I really enjoy our partnership with them. We work with environmental agencies. DNR is one of our main sponsors, both EPD and CIG, CRD. We do have industry partners, but more importantly, we work a lot with community-based organizations. We are not now up to, I think last time I checked, it was like 52 different organizations are in our network. So when we think about water sciences, it's really so interconnected, right? That's why I really love this diagram, because it really tells how everything is so interconnected. On one hand, we have the issue of increasing population. It's a good thing to have economic development and bring in more people, but that also means more demand for water and also more demand for treating the wastewater that's created that ultimately, again, impact our water resources. Here in Georgia and anywhere else, right, we have also issue of aging water infrastructure. A big portion of Georgia is rural, and we have lots of septic systems that needs to be maintained. We have private wells that needs to be maintained by the owners. So many issues on that end. And climate change, of course, does not help to the situation with sea level rise and constant flooding. Hence, what's going on today. Hopefully, we won't have too much flooding moving forward in the next few days. Salt water is an issue, right? We have saltwater intrusion that goes into our drinking water sources, and that really makes it difficult to provide safe drinking water for the communities, because we're mostly based on depending on groundwater here in Georgia. All of this is really connected and impacting the most the vulnerable populations. People who doesn't have the resources, or the communities that are already socioeconomically disadvantaged, are the ones that are impacted by this deterioration of water and environment. So we provide services for those communities, and one of the projects that Luke today will be talking about is one of those examples. When we first started, we started with this one particular project that was funded by Georgia EPD to really look at, before even going into the water quality, right, how much water do we really have here in Georgia? So we started to develop this dashboard in collaboration with the Water Council. And this picture you're seeing here is one of the screenshots, and it's available on our website too. Really, the idea is to look at the existing USGS water gauges and look at that historical water levels and how that has changed over time to create that dashboard. This is a pilot dashboard right now that brings in 16 different gauges across the region. Our goal is to increase that to across the region, but also start including some of the water quality data that has been collected over time, so we can actually see the full picture from historical. I'm talking about some of the data all the way back to 1940s, all the way down here, and how some of the policies have really changed or impacted or benefited water availability and quality in the region. So that project is still ongoing, but it can be found on our website. One of the flagship projects that we have is microbial source tracking, because, well, I have been doing this pretty much all my life, and I'm really thinking this is a very effective way of bringing technology to the use of communities. So we use qPCR. Everybody knows qPCR because of COVID nowadays, but really this method was developed first when EPA was sued for not providing rapid methods when it comes to water quality monitoring at beaches. Back in 2012, EPA came up with this qPCR method. I was one of the scientists at that time helping EPA to evaluate that method that can be then transferred to the health departments and be for the use of water quality monitoring. We did that study back in Michigan, and when I came here in Georgia in 2013, we also worked with Georgia DNR to bring in the possibility of qPCR for beach monitoring here as well. That was one of our CIG grants, actually, Anna. So this is basically what it does. With the traditional water quality detection methods, you have to wait for bacteria to grow, right? Bacteria takes time to grow on a plate, 24 hours. By the time the results are reported, it's already way past exposure, right? People are already exposed to that water. So really the traditional methods are not working when there is an urgency or emergency. So what qPCR does, you can actually get the results same day. Once the samples are in, it takes about 2 hours to finish the analysis. You can actually get the results same day, technically. And it's very source specific. So we have now DNA markers where you can actually look at the water, look at its DNA and tell 99.9%, oh, this is human pollution, human fecal pollution versus this is coming from wildlife. Well, when it's from human and when you quantify it, you actually have the opportunity to then do something about it, right? We can work with the local authorities to find out that leak and then make sure that that leak is permanently repaired. And a great example was another CIG grant that we took back in time, is that Kings Ferry Beach study. This is a region, like many places in Georgia, it's mostly wildlife, but there are some development, but not necessarily too much. But this area had been showing high levels of fecal bacteria for over a decade. So DNR was looking for a way to identify where these high levels of E. coli and enterococci were coming from. So we stepped up and said, we can look at the human marker and see if there's really a septic system or something else that's going on in this region. So those very simple bar graphs actually are telling the story the best. The enterococci, which is the fecal bacteria to use in these type of beaches, the red dot here is the EPA guidance level for recreational activities. And then you see in the very beginning, the levels are high. When you look at the human marker, which is the method we use by qPCR, looking at DNA, is also high. When we did some more extensive surveying in the area, we figured that the toilet of the state park had a septic system that was leaking into the beach. When we found that out, we did some additional testing. That table over here is showing K18 with HF183, which is the human marker with levels that are extremely high, like raw sewage numbers. So really that shows you that the human marker was leaking into the beach. So the septic system was leaking into the beach. So we pick up the phone, talk to the local authorities. Next day they came over, they fixed the leak. Next time we came over to look at the water quality, enterococci levels were down, human marker was gone, and it has been like that for the next few months that we continued the project for. So this really shows the story, tells the story of how source tracking can be effectively be used when it's human source, when the source is humans. We also do use a lot of technology-based, nature-based solutions, especially in our wastewater treatment studies. One of the projects that's going on is with our Statesboro wastewater treatment plant, where we installed this channel at the effluent to really capture all that nitrogen and phosphorus potentially coming out from the treatment plant, and you growing algae through that channel and see how that actually reduces nutrient pollution. while we were doing that, we said, okay, can we also look at some of the emerging contaminants? Because as you know, 80% of the state's wastewater treatment plants has been designed based on 1970s technologies, needs improvement, and not necessarily reducing any emerging contaminants that we can detect nowadays with our technologies. So we initially looked at the antibiotic resistant bacteria and how if it is even reducing any of that during this very simple application. We saw 65% decrease. So there is a lot of potential here, and we have been publishing this study as well and applying for more grants. Department of Energy is interested in these kind of nature-based solutions as well, because when you grow algae, you can also use it for energy consumption, making biogas out of it, right? So we're talking about a solution where it is sustainable. One of the other projects that we have been working on is about our waters and that's serving for rural communities, private wells. As you know, by the Safe Drinking Water Act, private wells are not regulated by the federal agency. So that means it's really up to the owners, homeowners, to make sure that they test, treat, and maintain their water. When we look at Georgia, 1 in every 6 households are on private wells. So this is a huge concern with, again, with the aging infrastructure, with the increased weather conditions and flooding. We see that this may be even a bigger problem moving forward, and something needs to be done. Over the years, we have been working on these projects where we work with some communities around us that would be interested in getting their water tested and implementing some interventions around it. One of the studies that we did last year was actually just got published this week, is about can we actually provide, for example, filters to the homeowners and see over time if they're going to accept this as a treatment technique, as a barrier for when they use their water. The initial survey results were really interesting. Only 34 of the residents had ever tested their well water, and 41% of those tested were almost a decade ago. Department of Public Health recommends every year testing because things can change in the water infrastructure, in the septic systems, and with the climate. Only 25% treated their water, and most of them was just refrigerator filters. We're not even talking about chlorinating the wells. Only 16% conduct any type of maintenance for their private wells. So there is a lot to be done in this area. Our new study called Project Well Aware is going to be focusing on that. We're going to be providing free water testing, not just for bacteria, but also some of the important carcinogens, because in this region, our communities are having higher levels of cancer rates than compared to the state. And also see if this intervention will help people to go and search for cancer screening. So see, this is again a great example of how everything is interconnected. And Luke will talk about this, but one of the research arms we are getting stronger and stronger on is about our water stewardship and environmental justice program. One of the projects that Luke will be presenting today has been on city of Brunswick. But really what we are planning to do is to expand this program to other regions. We already got just new funding from Alabama, Marion, funded by Alabama Power and Partnership for Inclusive Innovation of Georgia. The idea there is when we start this month, as of October 1st, we'll be partnering the city of Marion folks who have had significant amount of issues on their water with their mayor, connecting with city manager in Georgia, Eastman, who has been gone through all of these issues. Will be kind of like a peer-to-peer mentorship program where they're going to learn from each other how to find resources, how to fix issues, how to plan for it. As they do that, we will be working with high school students to train them to get ready for the tests that they need when they decide to apply being a water utility manager. Can they actually pass the test? That's another talking to the communities, that's what we're learning about, one of the barriers. So we're going to be helping them on those trainings so that the existing water utility managers retire. There will be more people coming in the pipeline. Like I said, we do a lot of skilled workforce and next generation water scientist development kind of projects as well. Our Swamp to Gulf program that's been funded by NASAM has been one of the great examples in Suwannee region in the Gulf, working with the teachers, K-12 teachers, and developing curricula and providing hands-on experiences on water monitoring and what that data means and how you actually can use it is one of the projects that we have been doing. We also provide professional development for existing water professionals, whether they are in water utilities, local governments, or military. The first training that we have done was this summer in July in partnership with NOAA's Coastal Zone Management Program. We're planning to continue that. We got really great feedback. That was about adaptation training for coastal communities, and we're going to keep continuing those kind of trainings along with other trainings such as what is source tracking and how do we test for water much faster and more reliable. So we're going to continue those kind of trainings and be a service for our communities as well. We do have a website. Please do go visit us. We also have quarterly newsletters, and we're always open for partnership. So we want to expand our existence and presence and network, and we are really excited about being a part of this group as well. So far in 2 years, it's been a whirlwind. We had a great growth, and we're looking forward to continue growing. These are some of our funders. We just learned that a couple of months ago, we just learned that the U.S. Congress is going to be supporting us with another $2 million as an earmark to continue our Safe Water Together program in the region. So we're really excited about that. We can see how this will be a great partnership moving forward with our communities. Please do follow us over our social media. We have LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, we do have our website. And please feel free to contact us anytime. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Luke.
Fantastic. Thank you, Asla. And Luke, I will make you a presenter. Luke's going to give us a little more detail on a specific case study.
Alrighty. Okay.
Perfect. Looks good.
It's good. All right. Fantastic. So glad to see you all again. So it's nice to see some familiar faces. I'm going to get right to it. This is our Safe Water Together Glenn County project. We did with the collaboration with the City of Brunswick, Glenn County, and the Partnership for Inclusive Innovation. I don't really need to introduce the IWH. I think Asli did a fantastic job there, but just want to get right to the kind of the project overview. There are 4 Superfund sites in and around the peninsula of Brunswick. And there's a lot of people who have been crabbing and fishing in the area. It was pointed out to us in a conversation that we had with Commissioner Alan Booker. Is that his district is kind of the downtown part of Brunswick, which is mostly the majority area of Brunswick. And our goal for this project was to kind of bridge the communication gap between the people who are collecting a lot of environmental data and the people who are affected most by the data. From previous conversations, we saw that bridge was kind of snapped, and they had not seen proper communications to the communities that were being most affected by it. And you saw just a lot of people who would ignore kind of warnings and things like that about fishing and crabbing in these areas. And Commissioner Booker saw that he was looking for more of a connection between the data and the people who were affected by it. But through this project, we actually provided tools, training, materials necessary for community ownership of the data and the equipment in order to collect data for themselves and to show it to the communities. Our big considerations for this project were, of course, water. We looked at surface water on this, used EPA approved protocols, also Georgia AdoptaStream protocols for data collection and their database. Georgia AdoptaStream is the largest water quality monitoring program in the state. We really want to look at public health. Of course, that's one of the things we work on mostly. And we were really targeting sites kind of with the community. So we actually had a meeting to talk with the community about what sites mean the most to them, what sites do they see people fishing at, crabbing at, and so where do they want to learn more about. And then we worked a lot with environmental justice. We wanted to really make sure that the water quality lab that we installed in downtown Brunswick is actually owned by the community. So we signed off the equipment to them, and it'll be kind of a place we can go to at any time to collect data and analyze data, both water quality and bacteria levels too. So, and our participants are paid; they're not just volunteers. So any folks who actually helped us collect data, participate in the trainings, things like that, they're paid for their time. So really, we're hoping that it helps scientific literacy and community advancement. Here's a quote from Commissioner Alan Booker. I do have a short video of his, and I know we'll put in the chat the longer video. We actually did several video interviews with our participants. We've posted this to our Instagram page in shorter versions, in the shorter clips. We also have really long, nice, full versions, closed caption and everything, on our YouTube page. So I think we might post up some of those in the chat. If you're not familiar with Brunswick, Georgia, it's right there on the coast. It's the home to one of the biggest roll-on, roll-off ports for vehicles, but it's had a lot of issues. It has a lot of issues with poverty and racial issues. And of course, Ahmaud Arbery murder was there recently. And so there's a lot of issues that are investigated in this community. And they have affected these underrepresented residents for generations. This map kind of shows where the Superfund sites are in relation to the peninsula of Brunswick. And you can see they're really clustered around where the minority population is highest. And this map shows that they're also clustered around low-income neighborhoods as well. And you can see the one that's a little bit farther out, not so much. It's a little bit farther out in the country a little bit, but you can see that it really does touch on a lot of environmental justice issues here in Brunswick. We focus on two main Superfund sites that are right there on the coast, right against the water. This is actually a slide from one of the story maps that our interns put together. And so I'll have a scanner that you can look at. You can actually see this story map in detail to see kind of what they put together. It really gives you a really broad outline of timelines, who we worked with, how we did it, everything like that. So you can look at that in your leisure too. It's a really cool interactive map that they put together. But LCP Chemicals sits on the west side of the peninsula and was there for a long, long time. And a lot of people speak about this one as the pretty big polluter in the area, especially with regards to water and sediment. And then the Terry Creek outfall, we sampled right next to this outfall, very close to it. But people are crabbing and fishing in these areas right next to the Terry Creek outfall of this Hercules dump. They've been doing it for years and years and years too. So you can see kind of the location of our Superfund sites on your left, kind of where they are, and then you can see kind of our Safe Water Together Glenn County sites in relation. Number 1 is just above the Terry Creek outfall. Number 2 is just below it. Number 4 and 3 are areas where they're just down just south of the Terry Creek outfall, but are really heavily fished areas, whether for bait or for subsistence food. 5 and 6 have also known to be fishing areas, and 7 is one that we added later on to do extra sediment sampling and water sampling because it was mostly adjacent to LCP chemicals. You can see this is the kind of tools we used. We were able to do a lot of adopt-a-stream protocols. You see this is Pastor Salma Perez using titration methodology to do dissolved oxygen right there. But we did our normal volunteer metrics, but also added intercocci and organic chemicals. The reason why we did intercocci is because this is all brackish water, all tidal areas for us. And then the methods we use are the methods we use in our lab here in Savannah. And so we were really happy to both install the lab there, so they have the exact same stuff that we have up here to enumerate intercocci or other bacteria as the priorities shift. So if we say want to do drinking water and do like Legionella, we have some of the materials to do that. The lab's already there and can be very adaptable to what we need it to do. And so the rationale for this was we used all these protocols are very well established, and we can look for baselines so we can raise red flags for further investigations. And intercocci, those of you who have worked with bacteria or anything like that know that it's an indicator bacteria that's used really often, especially in these coastal waters, for the potential of pathogens, because eating or swimming in these areas can really cause health hazards. And we would go out, the one that was Site 4, we saw people swimming, kayaking, crabbing. We even talked to a fisherman who ate oysters right there, which told us it was very bad tasting, but we recommend that he never ever do that again. So that was definitely one of the people we talked to when we were out and about. We had 2 training sessions with the community. We did one in January, just going over chemical testing, and then after we installed the lab, when April 17th came around, we did the bacterial assessment training. So we had a lot of folks attend both sessions and come out with us every other week to do water quality testing. So here's some of just the highlights of samplings. This is Site 1. This was consistently kind of our highest bacteria site. We're just mostly focusing on bacteria here. The orange dots are for temperature, as you can see, kind of as they go up through the year. And this is not really doesn't mean much without context. So to show you this, the result you want to get, if you're above 70 counts per 100 milliliters, that's your action value. So you can see we're well above our action value there at Site 1. And a lot of people fish at this area in Site 1. Site 2 actually has signs that say do not fish there. Site 4, people are fishing there all the time. Site 3, people collect a lot of bait there, and they do fish there, but this is kind of a backwater pond. And you can see the levels here are really high, extremely high. Over 7,000 most probable number there per 100 milliliters. So you can see this is a place that is not good, and I don't think that especially in this area, like the hazards that are there are not communicated very well. So that's why we partnered with a lot of religious and community leaders to get the word out on this kind of thing. Another one, again, where we saw people crabbing and fishing every single time. This is Lookout Park, Overlook Park. This is another site where we saw, usually pretty high levels of bacteria. In addition, we also went out and collected 7 sites for sediment and water. We're looking at heavier stuff like the 20 pesticides, including toxaphene, 19 PCBs, and 80 organic chemicals in addition. We've sent these samples up to the EPD lab up in Norcross, but we're still waiting on results there. Our community participants have been fantastic. They have guided us. They helped co-create this project. One of my favorite thing about this is that it's a lot of religious leaders mixed in here too. I know Barbara Brockman is actually officially a reverend, but many others serve as pastors or deacons in their local churches. And as we know, like church people talk, so they have a lot to say, and they tell about their experiences, what they've been going through, and they can spread the word to their congregations, friends, neighbors about what's going on and their knowledge, and that kind of transfer is organic through the community. I think I have a little bit of time to play just a quick video. This is from our Instagram page where we interviewed Commissioner Alan Booker, who helped us start the project. Let's see if it gets to work.
Can you share a memorable moment from your involvement with this program?
I think meeting with Asla and Luke and really seeing how they took the idea of doing this seriously and have been very helpful in guiding us and being open about what the process is. But we're grateful for their support and their expertise in doing this.
What was your experience with the Emory study and what was the result?
When we looked at the data from the health study, and everybody was like really wanted to know about if they were exposed or not, that's what led to the Emory saying, well, let's try to do a pilot study. And so, yes, I participated in it because I grew up 1 block away from Hercules, toxaphene making plant. And the results are I have toxaphene in me. And then also PCPs were made at the LCP site. We finally have proof that these chemicals are in people's bodies here.
What do you hope to see as a long-term outcome of these kinds of community engagement projects?
Well, what I hope is that we can better educate ourselves in the Black and brown communities about the harmful impacts of these chemicals and these toxins.
All right. He was very, very instrumental to doing that kind of work with us. I really want to put a shout out to our Penn interns that were sponsored by the Partnership for Inclusive Innovation, Alice McLeod, who's from Brunswick, but a Georgia Southern student, Audra Worley, who was part of a partnership that we have with Coastal College of Georgia. Kimmy Takagi and James Deemy over there have been fantastic partners, and they pointed out, hey, we've got a great student. She'd be interested. She lives in Brunswick, and they were fantastic partners with us. Here's what I promised earlier. This is the link to our story map, which goes more in detail of this project. Really cool, lots of photos, maps, and things like that about this project. So please, if you can, scan this. If you don't scan it in time, we can send out the link later. But it's really great. Also, lots of posts online, lots of videos, and really they did a great job of pumping up our social media. Again, we also put this into the local news and had lots of cool photos and videos of us out there. And thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all listening, and look forward to our next project down there when we start to maybe possibly start looking at drinking water next. So looking forward to it.
Ooh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Luke. And thank you, Asla, too. And I think in the interest of time, instead of going straight to questions, let's go ahead and drop your emails into the chat box, and we'll have our partners reach out to you individually for some follow-up questions. There's a lot of collaboration potential and such important and potentially life-saving work that you do. So thank you for sharing with us today. I just have 2 slides I want to highlight next month. We're going to be doing something special, our Fall Partner Project Parade. We're going to be hearing 6 lightning talks. As always, we want to hear your announcements too. Let's send those to scdrp@socorro.org, and we'll make sure to add those to our next newsletter. Also, drop into the chat. We also download everything that you put into the chat and add it to our next newsletter and our resources on our web page. So this concludes our September monthly partnership meeting. A very special thank you to our co-hosts, CERN and Anna McQuarrie, and a very special thank you to our super speakers, Dr. Aslan and Luke Roberson. And thank you for joining us today. Please stay safe during Hurricane Helene, and we will see you all again on October 24th. Thank you again and have a good day.
Thank you.